11-0. They have outscored their adversaries. Looking to add to it. Lazar to the cup for two. Carly Lazar. 4:22 back set. Here is the winner for Ellie Cook. There goes Strong with it. Oh, how about that? I'm always pretty well here to right. Going back to Gilpin and it's gone. A grand slam.
Welcome into the season preview of Carlow University softball right here on the Carlow Sports Network. I'm Sean Meyers, joined by the fourth-year head coach for the Celtics, Glenn Zinsmeister. Glenn, thank you for doing this. Always enjoy talking to you. And the anticipation of it's still cold here in Western Pennsylvania, but temperatures will be heating up. We'll get to this spring. Hopefully we'll have another really good season.
We're hoping. We're less than, I think we're about 3 weeks now from Florida, maybe a little bit less than that. So the girls are getting excited to get down. The weather looks great down there, and we'll go play 12 games and
get a nice tan.
Well, we're going to worry more about wearing like 80 sunscreen so that we don't get sun poisoning and sunburn.
Probably a good idea. So last year, your team went 500 in the River States Conference, 13-13. You won a couple of postseason games as well. How did you evaluate how the season went?
I thought we had a really good season, but we missed on some of our goals. So if you count even our non-conference games, we had 14 one-run losses, which we would certainly like to turn some of those around. Some of it related to maybe lack of focus, some of it maybe related to age, and hopefully we learned a lot from that. Obviously at the end of the season, it was a hard year with COVID. We played 14 games in 7 days to end the season, and it took a toll on our pitching staff. And when we got to the tournament and then even the USCAAs, we tried to survive basically with one pitcher, which was just a mountain too high to climb.
Well, with that in mind, I know that the schedule was sort of in flux and you had to make up a lot, but I would assume that was still preferable to what happened the prior year when you weren't able to play. So did you sense some appreciation or maybe some different perspective for your players?
Yeah, I did actually. We weren't able to go to Florida last year, which I think ultimately, it took us probably 2 or 3 weeks to get our legs under us. Because we didn't have those 12 games in Florida. But and we played a heavy non-conference schedule last year, all D2 schools, which I think was probably good for us from a competitive perspective. But I really think the perspective around being able to play versus not being able to play, to every single person involved with the program, everybody was excited that we at least got to play games.
I'm going to be talking to a couple of your seniors upcoming, but looking back at last year, the group of seniors who moved on, there were some pretty notable players. What are you going to miss most about those graduated?
Across the board leadership. Obviously all of them were here for 4 years, and all of them had different levels of leadership within what we do as a team. Probably top of the list is Fairman. I mean, she did a lot for us. And really kind of gritted things out for us, and we'll miss that type of player, and hopefully maybe there's a player like that in our freshman class.
And she had some unbelievable games last year certainly as well. What has been the focus for the team throughout this offseason?
So this offseason we do basically what we do here in the Northeast whenever we're playing softball. Everything's indoors, so we spend a lot of time working conditioning and tee work. We really spend a lot of focus at our facility on campus around our offensive game. So we do a lot of the mundane stuff that you just have to get used to on the tee. And then we're able to do some live pitching inside, which is helpful for both pitchers and our batters. And then one day a week we do go to the turf at Green Tree, and we get to do some full field work, albeit a little bit difficult because of the low ceiling and things like that, but we're able to do that. That's basically that's been our focus. When we get to Florida, we will have 2 dirt practices before we start to play. That's really to get used to the dirt versus turf, and then to just put some full field stuff in just to try to take what we worked on inside and try to put it outside so that it makes a little sense for us, and then we'll start rolling and see what happens.
Let's talk about your returning players. First, we'll look at the hitters. Who are the key players who are back?
So I think Morgan Nedley, she's going to move from the outfield into shortstop for us. So we're expecting solid defensive performance out of her, and solid hitting. I mean, Morgan's a solid softball offensive player, and we're hoping that translates really well for us. Alyssa Shofield is a sophomore this year. She's going to play first base for us. And she showed a lot of power last year, so we're hoping that continues to translate well for us. Obviously, our seniors, Ciara and Adrianna, they come back with a lot of experience and some speed and some solid hitting. So between the four of those, I'm hoping there will be some solid folks for us, and then hopefully the freshmen learn fast from them, and we get some of the same type of performance from the freshman class.
Let's look in the circle. Who are the key pitchers back?
So we have four main pitchers this year that have really a lot of pitching experience. We have Mckenna Pierce coming back, and Clara Miglio, who was our transfer from Cal U last year. We have freshman Megan Pollinger from West A, and then Amanda Hu is from Texas. And hopefully we can have a nice combination of all of them that we can keep teams off balance.
And you just alluded to one of your freshmen. When you look at the group of newcomers, what have you seen and who do you think maybe could make a big impact?
I actually think a lot of them are going to make a big impact. So we have, obviously I mentioned Megan Pollinger is, I think, a real solid hitter. She has great statistics from West A as a pitcher. She threw a couple no-hitters out there. So we're hoping to ease her into things a little bit. We have Fran Bay from Plum. She's an infielder. She's shown a lot of promise hitting. Jill Durst is from Plum. She's an outfielder, played for Team PA. Real good defensive player, and we're excited to see what she can do at the plate. Bella Cartieri is a catcher. Her and Elena Mintz are both freshmen, but they're going to see the lion's share of our time behind the dish. And Mckenna Pierce, who's Morgan's little sister, actually. She comes to us from Leechburg, a lot of offensive promise, and she can play both middle infield positions, so she'll provide some time for us as well.
Glad to see a lot of former Mustangs plumb my alma mater, by the way, and certainly very successful high school programs that you recruited from. And that leads me to the next question. What's sort of the strategy in terms of recruiting for you here at Carlow?
So, my recruiting is really, my assistant coach, Larry Miller, is he's the Yoda of recruiting. He knows a lot of softball people in the area and really just keeps track of a lot of the girls and where they play and what they do. So his persistence is really part of it. I mean, we start with the contact with the players, and really what we look for, and it's honesty. We're looking for players, good softball players that fit the Carlow program. So, obviously our big programs: nursing, elementary education, respiratory therapy, perfusion, business accounting, criminology, psychology. Anybody interested in those things, we're interested in talking to them. And if they're good softball players, we're interested in bringing them on board and trying to be part of what we do here.
If things go according to plan, what will be the strengths of this year's team?
I think we're going to be a strong offensive team. We saw a lot of glimpses through the fall of some just really, really good, timely hitting, and I'm hoping that continues. And I think we're going to be an above-bar defensive team as well. We have some changes and some holes that we're making some changes to, but I'm real happy, and I think that the folks that we're going to slot into those places will do great for us defensively.
You alluded to the non-conference last year. What stands out about the non-conference schedule this season?
We are playing. We're not playing as many D2 schools, but we are playing some, and we're playing some NAI non-conference games. That Siena Heights, we've played them in the past. We are going down to play Kentucky Christian this year. We are playing a USCAA team in Columbus, a new USCAA team. It's a little bit less than last year because we have Florida, and of course those 12 games in Florida are all generally considered non-conference games as well.
When you look at the River States Conference, what teams stand out as contenders?
Well, Rio Grande still stands down there as the they will be the king until somebody unseats them, and right behind them is IUS. I would call them the queen, and they're probably the two best teams. We had success against IUS last year, at least in the regular season. We stumbled a little bit down at the tournament with them. And Rio Grande, we played 4 games against them. We stepped out on the field the first day in freezing cold weather, and they beat us the first game. I think it was 11-0. But then we lost 1-0 in the second game, and we had them on the ropes both games here in Pittsburgh, and just lost by a run, and then lost by a couple runs in the final game. So I think we've gained some respect in the conference just by how we've conducted ourselves and the way we do business, and we'll see how that translates this year.
What are team goals that you have in mind?
Really for this year, I think, is to be competitive in every game and not have those games where we get blown out. Increase our focus to eliminate the small mistakes, like that one bad inning that puts us in a bad place. And then ultimately, if we can compete to the level that we can go and play in the conference tournament, and then, if we would win that tournament, we could advance in the regionals of the NAIA, or qualify for the USCAs and go and compete up there, and hopefully get a better result.
The wins, the losses, they all go on your record because you're the head coach, but every head coach has a lot of good assistants around him. You have a new one as well with Jenna Grogan. What are the responsibilities, maybe some of the strengths of your assistant coaches?
So, Larry's my steady Eddie. He was here before me, and he remains my stalwart. We talk about everything and we plan everything out, and then share it with the other three assistants. Obviously, Sarah Setsik's been here the longest. She's been here actually a year longer than I have. Her and Allison, right? Actually, it's Allison Smith now. Allison Rideout is what she was when she played. But they bring, along with Jenna, who happens to be my stepdaughter, but they bring the Carlow playing experience to the field. Allison and Ciara are both really consummate around the hitting aspect of the game, and Jenna's one of the local pitching coaches that a lot of people utilize, and we've already seen a lot of positive stuff. She's been able to work with our pitchers as far as making just minor changes to what they do, and we're starting to see a lot of success for that. So we're excited about that.
Finally, complete this sentence. This will be a successful season if
we go to the tournament and then compete in the USCAs.
Well, Glenn, certainly we hope that comes to fruition this year. Looking forward to another great season of Carlow softball.
Thanks, Sean. Appreciate the opportunity.
That's Glenn Zinsmeister, head coach for the Celtics softball here on the season preview. We continue here on the season preview for Carlow softball 2022. I'm now joined by Ciara Murray, third baseman for the Celtics, as she enters her senior season. First off, thank you for doing this. How's your day going?
Fantastic. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. My pleasure. So you said your day's going fantastic. I know that there's probably some excitement heading into this season. What's the feeling like now getting ready for that first game?
It's definitely nerve-wracking, but also like in a good way, because it's obviously my last season and I really want to make the most out of it and be as successful as I can be with the team. I've always enjoyed playing with them for the last 4 years, so I'm very excited to see what the last time around brings.
I want to ask a little bit about you individually. What do you think your best attributes are in the game of softball?
Throughout my entire softball career, I've had a lot of compliments on my arm and how hard I can throw, but I think that my best feature is my adaptability and how I can kind of like play no matter where you put me. I think that's like greatly benefited our team, just like with injuries or if anyone can't make it to a game and we need a spot to fill. I think that would be my best kind of feature.
Yeah, and you mentioned the flexibility. You've played shortstop, going to be playing a lot of third base. How has your role evolved throughout your time here at Carlow?
I've always seen myself as kind of like a lead by example type of person, so I've always tried to just lead on the field, but like throughout the years I've kind of developed this team captain role in terms of like organizational tasks and how like inspiring the team and motivating others. So I think that's greatly like influenced like how I kind of complete everyday tasks and is very beneficial for my future.
I'm sure that you would probably name yourself for one of the candidates, but looking at your teammates, who do you think might be in for a breakout season?
Based on like all of our new players, because we have some transfers, we have all the freshmen, I think that freshman second baseman Fran Bigley and Bella Cartieri, the freshman catcher, are going to have a pretty great season based on how much I think they're going to be playing.
When you look at this upcoming season, 2022, what do you have in mind for the team goals and for your individual goals?
As far as team goals go, I would really like us to be set up in a spot where we have a very good opportunity to make it to the River States Conference as well as nationals at USCAAs. I've always loved competing in those, just because it's kind of a culmination of all of our success throughout the season. We finally get one more opportunity to go as far as we can.
You have a little bit different of a path to Carlow than most of your teammates. Most of them are from Western Pennsylvania. You are certainly not. You are from Ontario, Canada. What have been the biggest adjustments?
It's certainly been an adjustment being here on my own, that new level of independence and just being so far away from my family and not getting to see any of them was really hard in the beginning, but I think I've fallen into it pretty well. The team's always been there for me, and I think that, I don't know, just having everyone here is like my family away from home. So it's been hard, but it's also been very special.
And maybe this will kind of feed into that. What's your favorite aspect of this year's team?
I really like how close we all are this year. We've kind of made it a priority to spend a lot of time together even before the season starts, so we can kind of get those relationships and trust established before we step onto the field. But I also really like how flexible everybody is in terms of their abilities on the field. There's a lot of players who are able to play different positions and can adapt to places on the field that they've not really had a lot of experience with.
Well, Ciara, thank you for taking the time to do this. We look forward to seeing you in your senior season.
Thank you.
That's Ciara Murray for the Celtics here on the season preview. We roll along here on the season preview looking at Carlow University softball for the 2022 season. I'm now joined by senior center fielder Adriana Godheld. Thank you for doing this today. How's it going?
It's going good. Just been busy with school.
Absolutely. I'm sure getting busy for the season as well. And you're coming off of a really good year last season. You led the team in batting average. So what was the biggest key behind that?
Last year we focused a lot on tee work and just the basic fundamentals of hitting. And I think me being down in the 9 spot hitting, I was more comfortable there, turning the order over. And I think it gave me a lot of confidence.
There's some really good seniors on last year's team who have since moved on. What are you going to miss most about that group?
Well, obviously this is my 5th year and I came in with them as freshmen, so I think I'm just going to miss them in general. It was just a really good group of girls. We had a lot of people come in that class. I think, there was 7 of them?
Yeah, there was a lot of them. Yep.
Yeah. So, it's a lot of opportunities for everybody, but I don't know. I just miss them all because I came in with them and wish I got another season with them.
I know you said you did a lot of tee work prior to last year. What's been your focus throughout this offseason?
I think just the same thing. So I play in a slow pitch league, and that honestly helps me in the outfield, tracking balls, because they hit the ball really hard, so it helps me focus on tracking balls better in the outfield.
What are some of the biggest keys for your team having success this year?
I think hard work, communication, and just having trust in each other. And I think this year we're a really close team, so I think that'll help a lot for our success.
Is there a game or maybe a group of games that you're most looking forward to?
Definitely Rio, because we have last season we went 10 innings with them at their place, and we went 9 innings with them at ours. We ended up losing, in that inning, and I would just like to beat them.
There you go, looking for some vengeance. Let's go back a number of years. What led to your decision initially to come to Carlow University?
I had looked at a lot of other schools, but they weren't really willing to work with me, wanting to go into the medical field and playing softball. So I know that Carlow works really well with that, with athletics and focusing on school still, and being able to, have your dream of playing a college sport.
And you're from the region, of course, by way of Charleroi. You're one of many who came from the WPIAL. So did you have relationships with any of the other players before Carlow?
I didn't know any of them. Nobody I even knew came to Carlow when I came to Carlow my freshman year.
I'm sure that was a little bit of a culture shock at first, but
Yeah.
you seem to have adjusted nicely. Your head coach, Glenn Zinsmeister, has been here for your entire career. What are his best qualities?
I think that he's very passionate and caring about the sport. he works really well with all of us, and he's very understanding with school and everything, and just a good guy.
There you go. Lastly, what has been your favorite moment thus far during your time here at Carlow?
I definitely say the Florida trips and nationals, because we do a lot of team bonding and stuff, and we get to know everybody and just have a lot of fun, playing a sport we love.
And the good news is you'll have plenty of time this year to
Yes.
create more favorite memories
Yes.
throughout your time. Adriana, thank you so much for doing this.
Well, thanks for having me.
That'll do it here on the season preview for Carlow University Softball 2022.